these Democratic politicians in these cities who are ordering the police to stand down, who are reallocating funds away from their police departments, who are demonizing the police, so that the police are afraid to go into these violent neighborhoods. They're afraid to do their jobs, are only making matters worse. Those are just the facts. And again, it is the underprivileged, the poor, the weak, the elderly, the disabled, the babies, the women who are made most vulnerable when crime goes up because of a lack of policing. But here is what people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have to say about defunding the police.
When people ask me, what does a world where we defund the police, where, defunding police looks like, I tell them it looks like a suburb. Because in Yorktown Heights and in a lot of these communities in Westchester, what is the most important thing that is politically the most important thing that the world revolves around? It's school funding. People will uproot their entire lives. You will see people go nuts for school funding.
What? Girl, what? First of all, the suburbs have police. They have a police force. Does she not realize that? Second, criminals don't just stop committing crimes. So her logic sounds like she thinks the police are causing the crime, and if police just stopped policing, then criminals would stop committing crimes and inner cities would start just looking like the suburbs. So I guess drive-by shootings of cookouts where a 1-year-old baby is murdered, or the drive-by shooting that happened the other day by a funeral that shot and killed several people, those things would just stop happening. Everything would look like the suburbs once we defunded the police. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Also, the most vulnerable, the poor, are left behind when the rich people, which they inevitably do, leave these cities and leave these areas because of a lack of policing and because of danger. They leave places also where this mob rioting is happening, places like Portland and Seattle, because they don't want to deal with the madness. They want to protect their families. So the rich and the middle class, if they can afford it, they leave and they move outward and they abandon these cities. And then you have the poor and the vulnerable that are left to pick up the pieces. And just as an aside, for all the people who are leaving these liberal cities, fleeing to the mountains, fleeing to rural areas, fleeing to the suburbs, please just leave your liberal policies behind. Please take notice of how the quality of life in your cities, so San Francisco, LA, Chicago, Portland, Seattle, New York City, Baltimore, Austin, has gone down, while homelessness and crime have gone up. Please take notice of these things and resist bringing your liberal ideals and ideas to the red counties, the red states, the red cities, the red areas that you are fleeing to because they're more peaceful. There's a reason why they're more peaceful. There's a reason why they're cleaner and more prosperous. And it's because they don't have the liberal values and the liberal policies and the liberal politicians that you had in the cities that you used to live in that are now run down.